Right, we're in the middle of well, for some of us it's mitzvah zayin.
Right.
It's the mitzvah shelo לאכול הפסח נע ומבושל. If that's zayin, some books are arranged differently. So
Yeah, that's
not
what it is.
everyone it's zayin.
Here you go, dude.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Do I have to say a bracha before I open it?
Before you open it.
Before I open the book?
Did you say Birkot Torah in the morning?
Yes, in the morning. But it's a new day.
No, because you're still awake. It has to do with your consciousness, your
Okay.
perception of time.
Okay.
Okay. We're ready to start.
What are the first three words?
The first three words, Mishorshei mitzvah zo. That's the paragraph we're in. Mishorshei mitzvah zo. We're in mitzvah zayin shelo לאכול הפסח נע ומבושל. לימוד לעילוי נשמת חנה בת בנימין.
Amen.
Who wants to read?
Rob.
I'll read.
I read all of it last week, so somebody else can.
Sorry.
You're the one here.
I'll read.
I read.
Mishorshe mitzvah sheket.
Yeah.
Mishorshe mitzvah zo. שרצה השם לזכותנו לעשות מצווה בראשית.
I don't think we're in the same.
No.
Oh my gosh, seriously?
משורשי מצווה זו מה שכתוב בשחיטתו. נכון?
It's
Okay.
cool.
מה שכתוב. Alright.
Oh.
If for you it's not zayin.
Yeah, you were doing
I was
No,
like,
it wasn't
yeah, oh,
Zion.
there's a lot of these are mishors.
Every one has
Alright.
Yeah. Okay. Which one is it?
mitzvah zayin.
Oh, mitzvah Zion. Mitzvah Zion.
It's on page. It's on page.
Shelo לאכול הפסח.
Yeah.
Nah. Oh. Hey, I reviewed that.
But wait, hold on. נע, לא לאכול אותו, נע ומבושל. אז איך לאכול אותו?
Yeah, that's.
Oh, either. Well, first of all, vav in both in biblical and rabbinic Hebrew oftentimes means or,
But you skipped
not necessarily also. First of all,
It's the first time
Second of
in
all-
8 years I've heard something like this.
so lo lechol oto na umevushal means neither
Oh, okay.
undercooked
done this.
nor
No.
cooked in a liquid. Mevushal means cooked in a liquid.
Boiled.
There
Wow.
are different names for different kinds of cooking.
Wow.
You know, like in English also, you have you boil it,
Yeah.
you saute it, you roast it,
Boil,
you
Poach it. Yeah.
steam it. Okay,
Never mind, I
Are we-
won't read.
are we found?
משורשי מצווה זו, מה שכתוב בשחיטתו, לזכור נס יציאת מצרים. וזהו שנצטווינו לאוכלו צולי דווקא. מה זאת אומרת?
צלי.
צלי דווקא. אבל זה עם קומץ.
צלי.
צלי, אוקיי, צלי. דווקא,
It's mil el, mil ra. צלי.
צלי, אוקיי.
Yes.
צלי דווקא. לפי שכך,
Mine's sleep.
דרך בני מלכים ושרים לאכול בשר צלי, שהוא מאכל טוב ומותאם. אבל שאר העם אינם יכולים לאכול מעט בשר שתשיג ידם כי אי מבושל כדי למלא בטנם.
Okay. Let's go back and explain what we read. Go for it. You're reading.
You can translate.
Oh, to translate? Okay, I'm gonna try.
Yeah, you try.
Okay, so the roots of this mitzvah, what is written on the method of slaughter, I guess?
What is written, meaning what the Torah wrote.
Right. מה שכתוב בשחיטתו, like what the Torah wrote about slaughter,
Slaughtering it.
about slaughtering it in the case of the animal.
Yes, like this korban.
Right, slaughtering this korban is to remember the miracle of Yetziat Mitzrayim. Okay, and also that we were commanded to eat. I don't know what tzali is.
Hold on. Before you get to that word, there's another word that you missed. It doesn't say also, it says v'zehu.
Because of this.
And this is what we were commanded.
Oh, okay.
Zehu shenitztavinu. This is a good opportunity to practice our binyanim. Right? Nitztavinu. This is a nice, one of these irregulars. Nitztavinu, right? Nitz. Is that, what's the patach, right? Nitztavinu. Okay. What is the shorish?
Mitzvah.
Yeah, it's
Mitzvah is a word, it's not a short.
Tzava.
it's yeah, it's a law.
Short is tzadi,
Yeah,
vav,
hey.
hey. Okay? Now, how did we get here? This looks like a mess.
The hitpael.
It's good.
It's a form of hitpael.
Is it passive as well?
Hitpael is what's called the reflexive.
Reflexive, yeah.
Yeah.
But then I thought the num doesn't make it passive. Is that passive like a,
Ah,
it's the
good. It's
yeah.
nitpael.
Yeah.
Okay, so if
Oh,
When you go
true,
to
true.
Ulpan,
I'm going to go
Yes.
now.
that was very good. That was a very good point. I wasn't even paying attention. So in Ulpan, they tell you there are 7 binyanim, right? You have pal, you have nifal, you have, I gotta get out of the way of the camera. Blocking the camera. You have PL, you have poal, or pual, then you have hifil, hofal, and heat pa'el. Now, this is a simplification because it's hard for us to keep track of all the nuances in original Hebrew and in all the different evolutions of the language. So, in the Chumash, we have a word that doesn't fit into any of these categories. It's the word hot, pak, do, Bnei Levi'im. It's somewhere in Bamidbar. It's a combination of hitpa'el and hufal. It's some kind of combination here. We also have a few other examples, but this is one that sticks in my head a lot. Hut pakdu, it's here, it's there, it's both. It's some combination. In rabbinical Hebrew, we have the nitpa'el, which doesn't seem to mean anything different from the regular hitpa'el. But since the nun from nif'al means passive, it's kind of like an extra emphasis on the fact that it's a passive usage of the verb. So the nitpa'el and hitpa'el are actually the same thing, and we'll only see the nitpa'el in rabbinical Hebrew, or those sources drawing on rabbinical Hebrew. So nitztavinu.
I've heard it in formal Hebrew sometimes even. People use it in modern Hebrew to talk formally.
I wouldn't call that formal Hebrew. I would call that rabbi speak.
Okay.
There are people living with us today who, in certain contexts, will use rabbinical language.
Right.
Right?
Are you suggesting that rabbi speak is not formal?
Is it not formal? It's not just that it's formal, right? It's a very particular context of formality.
Probably not academic.
Right. Not like letter.
Definitely not academic.
Not like letter formal, you know what I mean? It's because there's this idea in language that you have a way that you write letters and a way that you write casually and a way that you talk casually and a way that you talk formally.
It's not formal Hebrew according to the academia, right? The Academy of the Hebrew language. So there's one more irregular thing going on here. Well, two more actually. First of all, this shorish is an irregular shorish. It's a double irregular. First of all, it has a tzaddik at the beginning, which usually isn't an issue, except in hitpa'el. We'll get to in a second. Mm-hmm. And the hey in the end is also an irregular. We know that the hey gets erased oftentimes. It became a vav here, a yud here, yes.
What's the verb? The
Shin, the poem.
let's see.
Litzavot.
Let's have a think.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Shin,
That's the
poem.
regular language.
Litzavot or
Yeah.
No, litzavot. It's PL.
yeah, that's a PL. But to make it into a hit pal, does it become a litzavot?
Litztavot.
Litzavot.
Right. The same thing happens with Zayin as well. It becomes Zayin Dalet. Like Lehizda. Like
Right.
Lehizdarez.
And a sin and a
Lehizdarez
sum.
la'asot
Correct. So
mashu.
there are four. You're just kind of jumping the gun here.
Oh, sorry.
I was first going to talk about the hey, right? So if we have the archetypical verb is called the pa'al, because that's the word verb, right? So then the lamed and the hey, this is called a lamed hey verb. That's one way of referring to it. And the tzaddik is one of a small set of letters that in hitpa'el the order gets reversed and the taf sometimes gets changed to another letter. So we have tzaddik, zayin, samech, and sin. And this becomes, right, lehitz, the dek. I'll just take another one that's more regular. So they switch, and
Well, the hay,
it
so
turns into a
the
tet.
hay and the Sadiq, they all three switch.
All three.
Because it should be Sadiq, tough, hay. Sadiq,
No.
Vav hay.
The hay is hitpael.
It's a different root.
Vav hay.
It's a different
No,
root.
I'm
We're
not
talking about
using this, I'm
tzedek.
using a regular one.
Yeah, but okay, fine, okay.
It's a different root. It's tzedek.
So,
Tzava.
Zayin, an example would be leizdaveg. Doesn't have to have two vowels, but if I'm writing out vowels already, two vowels, right?
Like to angle yourself. Or
No, leizdaveg is from the word zug.
yeah, to pair up.
Right,
Yeah.
pair up. And for samech or tzadik, we have, for example, leistater. Right, leistater, which is actually another regular says, in this case, it gets a double letter.
Just a small comment.
But,
Have you seen the form of the word zug in cursive Hebrew?
yeah, it looks like a nose.
I mean, but it kind of looks like a couple in a way. It's like two people
Oh, I
sitting
thought
together.
it was a nose. Alright, somebody's nose.
It just looks like two people. That, like I don't know.
At bottom.
With a freckle on it.
Yeah. There's more like that. Like the word for wing, kanaf. It looks just like a wing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Could be.
With an imagination.
So
Face
this is-
Sophie,
this
it's
is
the
actually
feather,
not-
the
this is not-
whatever.
This is not irregular. This is just the way it works because there's a tough and a tough. So with a samech or a sin, the tough remains a tough. It just moves over. They switch places. And with the zayin or the tzadi also changes the consonant. The tough becomes a tzadik or a zayin. That's because of the way that the original consonants were voiced in Hebrew. The tough, since it doesn't have, in this case, a dagesh, right? Ashkenazim would say hispael, right? So you can't say he's sadik. It doesn't. It's not clear what you're saying. It's very hard to say. So instead you say the he's sadik, or maybe it's more like a th. The he's sadik instead of the he's sadik. You get stuck in the middle. The same thing is true for all of them. If you leave this, the heat zaveg, also there's some amount of
It's a tongue twister.
Yeah, so that's I think the simple kind of historical explanation of how this became, and right. So this is a multiple irregular. So it's very hard to make sense of this word, understandably. And any questions?
So then if in that meaning, in that form, albeit more irregular, we're saying it's the command is there, or
We were commanded, no?
yeah, but then say it's a commandment and it's hit by L, but it's passive hit by L.
Well, again, there's no difference between hipel and nitpel.
Nipah, yes, it's nipah, okay, it's nipah.
It's just something that's used as a
Right, because we could have said hitzdavinu, like, and it would have the same meaning,
It's exact
right?
same meaning.
Yeah.
There's no difference in meaning. It's just sometimes thrown in there to make it clear that we're talking about the
to give you
passive.
something to talk about.
Sure.
So but the passive meaning would be, it means that there is a commandment, which is, we're not
It's
being
not
commanded.
there is. Yes, we're being commanded.
Okay, we're being commanded, okay, fine. Yeah, okay.
But we have been commanded. Hitzdavinu is like the past
Yeah.
perfect, right? Like we have been.
Yes.
We have been commanded.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So, zeu shenitzavinu leochlo tzali davka. So, tzali davka.
You know what a telly is, right?
Yeah.
It's like a
Piece of meat.
barbecued.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Roast, yeah.
Oh, tzli bako. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Totally. לפי שכך דרך בני מלאכים ושרים לאכול בשר צלי.
By far.
Yeah, שהוא מאכל טוב ומותאם. Okay. The way of the sons of kings, and their representatives, sarim, like
Sarim are ministers.
yeah, the way of the sons of kings and ministers, is to eat the meat, the strips of meat,
Barbecue.
that is good and tasty.
Where did you get strips of meat?
Tzalebako. Like צלי, בשר צלי.
Roasted. They eat their meat roasted.
Oh, it's okay.
Roast beef.
כמו לצלות. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's just.
I always thought צלי baka was just like slices of meat because I always saw it like as a roast cut up.
Yeah, it's prepared in a way that is conducive to roasting it.
Okay.
Yeah. A roast. In English,
Right.
you say, I bought a roast. Right?
Right, exactly.
You bought it frozen or refrigerated.
Yeah.
It's not roasted yet, but it's called roast even before you roast it, because that's what it's for.
שהוא מאכל טוב ומותאם, that it's good and tasty. But מותאם more sounds like someone spiced it up, like they put taste on it.
Yes, it's flavored.
Right.
Yeah.
אבל שאר העם אינם יכולים לאכול מעט בשר שתשיג ידם כי אם מבושל כדי למלא בטנם. The rest of the people cannot eat a little meat that they will receive in their hands, even if it is cooked, or that is cooked.
מעט בשר שתשיג ידם, the little bit of meat
The little
that they're
bit.
able to afford. Okay? הישג יד,
Or
in the Torah,
that is cooked in order to fill their stomachs.
that is cooked. No, not that is
כי אם
cooked.
מבושל.
Ki'im. What's ki'im?
Because it,
Unless,
Except for. Ki'im means except for.
What means what?
Except for.
Except for.
Ki'im mevushal. They're only going to eat it. They can't eat it except for. There won't. It's not can't. But
It's like
they're-
milvad meat, or like milvad ze, like or
milvad
chutz
that
meat.
means besides.
Yeah.
Chutz me?
Chutz mi is also except for,
Right.
but that's more of a modern Hebrew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just talking about halacha for a minute,
Sure.
if I can.
You
The
may.
halacha is clearly it's about Pesach, about the need on Seder night, roast your lamb. We talked about how we eat in groups, etc. We stay together, and everyone has obligation to eat it. And it's a mitzvah taseh. Does that mean so? My honourable gentleman standing next to me here, aka the vegan.
Yes.
How would that work, or was that not something which was discussed at
Did
the?
you watch the video from last week?
No. Okay,
That's unfortunate.
I watch it enough of then.
The short answer is that
He's going to
this is a special
He's going to burn.
mitzvah.
He's going to burn in hell.
If yeah,
Anyway.
no. The short answer is that he'll eat it. But
Ah, right. They forced me to. The
yes,
Sanhedrin are empowered to
Do we have
force
an
me.
obligation to clap him down?
Yes. The
yeah, not
Sanhedrin-
you personally,
The
but yeah.
Sanhedrin.
But can I?
You can try. You can try.
Okay, fine. Okay, that's interesting. Okay,
Okay.
talk to you about. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is this is a quote from a different pasuk that is referring to korbanot. That if you can't afford an animal, then you can bring, like you can't afford for a chatat. If you can't afford a cow, you bring
Turtle dove.
a turtle dove. You bring a bird. If you can't afford the bird, you bring flour and oil. So asher tasig yado means that which he can afford. Okay?
What's the
Yado
word?
tasig. Tasig
Tasig is like acquiring.
grasp. Okay? Also in figurative speech.
You grasp the concept.
Right, you grasp a concept. Isag tido isag.
which
Any
is-
musag.
which
Any
is-
musag in modern
which is
Hebrew.
fancy.
I have no clue. Any musag.
Oh, yeah.
Right? A musag is a
Same-
concept. It's all the same word.
I never realized that. Okay, fine.
And
It could also be like a
tasig yado here,
chain.
this is the subject, not the object, right? Tasig yado. So he also here in the Sefer Chinuch he's phrasing it the exact same way. Asher tasig yadam. This is basically a quote from this pasuk saying the little bit of meat that they can afford, that they can allow themselves to purchase, they're going to eat it mivushal. They're going to boil it because then it retains all of its mass and soaks up some of the juices. As opposed to roasting it, it loses mass, right? So they're looking for
It's like
quantity rather than quality.
One's like a stew.
Yeah, well, his point is that people who have money are looking for quality, whereas people who are poor are looking for quantity.
Right.
So just so when it says boiled, then it's not boiled.
No, this was only poor people would boil it if
The
they
poor people are boiling it so that they have all the meat, plus the flavor goes into the
They
stew.
roasted it first.
The rich people are roasting it, you don't gain any flavor or anything else. The meat itself is more
But I thought it had to
flavorful,
be.
but there's
I thought-
less meat.
I thought it had to be roasted. I thought it couldn't.
Yes,
be
and we're now learning about why. We're going to answer the question, how is eating roasted meat related to Yetziat Mitzrayim?
Yeah, but then he talks about boiling here. So am I misunderstanding something?
Yes.
Yes.
We're in the middle of the sentence. But that might be part of it. In any case,
He could be just gone stupid. I appreciate that.
no,
Your words, not
That's
ours.
not true.
we didn't. I didn't.
He's thinking I'm just.
I stopped in the middle of the sentence. I did stop in the middle of the sentence. But yeah, the part of the sentence that's talking about boiling
I just
is
have one question
explaining
for you.
what poor people do versus rich people. And as we see, and we'll continue to see in the next coming few mitzvot, there are a lot of things in Korban Pesach that we want to feel free and rich. Part of being free is being not bound.
I see what he's saying here more along the lines of normally the poor person would boil meat, but here the roasted meat.
Yeah, because we're not poor.
Yeah.
Even somebody who's
Yeah. And so,
right.
yeah.
Even
So that's
somebody
like-
who's being supported
Yeah.
by the soup kitchen. This I learned with my son last night. He has to gets 4 cups of wine. The soup kitchen has to give him 4 cups of wine,
Wow.
right? Because on this night nobody's poor.
Do we
Yes.
find the word מבושל elsewhere except for hair and wine? Is that like a common...
Fermentation.
Yes, absolutely. No, it's not fermentation. Mevusal means
Oh, it's
to cook.
bishul. No.
No, bishul is cooking the wine.
Havshala. Sorry, havshala.
Havshala is ripening,
Yes.
not fermentation.
Okay, I'm so confused. Never mind.
No
So
problem.
what else?
No
so
worries.
we have
well,
it
came to the right place.
For instance, by the man, Parashat Beshalach, when the man comes down, and they have the first few days of collecting it, and then Shabbos comes.
Shabbos!
So Moshe Rabbeinu says to them, tomorrow
For the video.
is Friday, you're going to get a double portion of man. Et asher tofu, efu. Any man that you want to bake, you have to bake it tomorrow. Et asher tivashlu baselu. And whatever you want to cook, because the man was like this raw ingredient, you could grind it up and make cakes out of it, or you could boil it, So they, it appears there also. It appears in a lot of other places.
Yeah.
And also the korban of the Nazir appears. It just means to cook in a liquid.
Also, if the raw is large, wouldn't you want to boil it to feed more people?
I don't think he's in the video. There we go.
You might think that. Because
You weren't in the video.
oh, I don't need to do a video. Not about me. But I'll move forward if that's a problem. The board needs to be in the video.
Okay.
No, it's all crooked.
There we go.
Okay. Let's finish the sentence. Oh, we did finish the sentence. Kedela malay bitnam. Right. So they want to have a feeling of fullness.
I read it so it
They
said
want the
they
meat
would
to
eat
go longer.
boiled meat rather than what it's saying if they would normally want to eat boiled meat.
Right.
That's slightly nuance.
In order to stretch it.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
אוקיי, ואנו שאוכלים הפסח לזיכרון שיצאנו לחירות להיות ממלכת כהנים וגוי קדוש. אוקיי? And that,
I finish the sentence.
אוקיי. ודאי ראוי לנו להתנהג באכילתו דרך חירות ושרות. אוקיי? Let me try to translate this. And us that eat the Korban Pesach,
Yes.
like when we say that we eat the Pesach, we're eating the Korban Pesach.
Oh, absolutely. Pesach is the name of the korban.
Right.
It's not the name of the chag.
What?
It's
Chag HaMatzot.
Chag HaMatzot.
Wow. Okay. Okay. In the memory that we were released into freedom, to be a kingdom of Kohanim and a holy nation.
Mhm.
Of course, it is. I never know how to translate raui. Like it's
Sort of
wanted,
proper.
it's expected, it's
Proper.
proper. Okay. and it's proper for us to behave according, like,
Act.
to act, exactly, to act in the eating the chirut sarut. Okay, so
In eating
like,
it.
basically in
consuming
eating
it
it through like by way of freedom and what is sarut, representation? Like is
No,
it
Sar again is not a representative. Sar is a minister, somebody who's a high officer, nobility. In this case, he's trying to say nobility.
so what is sarut, ministry?
Prince, like the prince, no?
I mean,
Here, I think the proper translation would be nobility.
Lordship.
We have another word for that in Hebrew, but I think that's the intent here. Lordship, nobility, right?
right, okay. מלבד שאכילת הצלי,
I just want to correct one word that you read. Vadai is a verb. Here the word is vadai, which is a kind of interjection.
oh, okay.
Surely.
Moreover.
Moreover.
Oh yeah, there's no chirik.
Certainly.
There's no chirik at
I
all.
don't
so-
have vowels at all, but
Yeah.
moreover.
You don't have vowels in that?
I don't know.
It's like 10. Wow.
Vowels are for wimps. Okay. Sorry. I couldn't help myself. Go on.
אוקיי, מלבד שאכילת הצלי, יורה על החיפזון, שיצאו ממצרים ולא יכלו לשהות עד שיתבשל בקדרה. Okay, so מלבד, you just told me this.
Besides
Besides the eating of roast,
that,
besides that eating roast,
mhm,
I have no idea what יורה על החיפזון means.
it shows, it literally teaches, but I guess the best translation would be indicates.
What is חיפזון?
Chipazon. Chipazon is a really good word. One of my favorite words. So chipazon,
It's not an animal, right? Like a chilazon?
yeah, it looks like it should be, right?
Right.
Chipazon is what's a good way to translate this? It's to do something hurriedly. Okay, it's a hurriedness. There's a better word for it.
Chick-chack.
ADHD? No.
People do things like
scattered,
this.
haste.
Yeah,
No, no.
scattered.
Hasty, exactly. Hasty.
It's hasty, yeah.
Yeah, haste.
Yeah, it's to do something suddenly and quickly. That's the noun. The verb,
Yitchapez.
there's is there a verb here?
Chofez.
There's chafuz, which is an adjective.
Be hasty.
There's the chofza, which is an adverb.
Litchapez.
No, there's no litchapez. There's I don't know if there's a verb here.
Uchpaz.
Yeah, nechpaz. There's nechpaz.
Yeah.
There is nechpaz. So if somebody's nechpaz latzeit, meaning they're anxious to get out. Nechpaz. That's the only word.
That's
I
high
can think of.
Hebrew. I've never heard that from anyone.
Yeah, it's not really biblical Hebrew either. It's much later. But chipazon is in the Torah. The chipazon is what the Torah says.
Right.
כי בחיפזון יצאתם
כן, בחיפזון יצאתם ממצרים.
Livchos, I'm not looking, I've got a thing here. Livchos?
לבחוז. would be לך.
It says live here.
לבחוז.
To haste, to hurry, to be reckless.
לכפוז.
Livchos.
And you got the oh no, you got the letters switched around.
That's the, apparently it's a verb.
Yeah, but it's a different source.
I said it's not, but it's the same meaning, haste to be hurried.
Yes, but it's a different source.
Okay.
It's related, it just has the letters switched around.
Okay.
It's its own word. It's very similar.
Okay.
Okay, I'll
Right,
translate the
כי
rest.
בחיפזון יצאתם מצרים is what the Torah says, and we say on the Seder, right? When we eat the
Oh, it reminds us of the chipazon.
yes,
Like, oh,
we eat
okay.
the matzah. When we eat the matzah, we
Right.
say, רבן גמליאל אומר, כל שלא אמר שלושה דברים, לא יצא ידי חובלו בפסח. So on the matzah we say, לא הספיק בצקם להחמיץ עד שנגלה להם הקדוש ברוך הוא וגאל אותם בחיפזון. So the chipazon is in the background of what we do on Pesach, but it's not, because Pesach Mitzrayim and Pesach Dorot, we've mentioned this before, there are a lot of differences. Right? Pesach Mitzrayim is how they did Pesach when they were still in Egypt, the first Pesach. Pesach Dorot is what we do. And Pesach Mitzrayim had this element of chipazon. They had to eat when they were already packed up and ready to go. They had their shoes on. They had their walking sticks in their hands while they were eating the Korban Pesach. They had everything, all their belongings packed. And this chipazon is not something, we don't do Leil Seder b'chipazon. Some people rush because they're hungry and they want to get the food. But
You shouldn't.
yeah.
You see my family.
It's the fifth question.
Right. When do we eat?
Yeah, that's right. And
It's also the first question.
That's right. Hipazon is the original fast food.
Haha.
So we have the matzah that reminds us, is a reminder of chipazon, but we're not actually experiencing chipazon.
Right.
And so this is kind of also a reminder. It's given as a secondary reason, not the primary reason. The primary reason is because we're bnei chorim. Secondary reason is that it reminds us of chipazon.
Right. חיפזון, שיצאו ממצרים, שיצאו, מי יצאו? Like, who יצאו? Why is it in plural?
Who left Egypt?
Oh, okay, the people, okay. שיצאו ממצרים ולא יכלו לשחוט עד שיתבשל בקדרה. Okay, so they left Egypt, that left Egypt and could not stay where they were until
They couldn't wait.
they couldn't wait
Terry.
until something cooked in a ceramic pot.
Well, it doesn't say cook ceramic, but yeah.
Kadera is like ceramic, right? It's
There was a big pot, a cauldron.
yeah, cauldron, yeah. Because I know they call pottery in modern Hebrew kedarut.
Kadarut,
yeah.
yeah. But kedera is just a large pot,
Polka.
and it takes only to get
It's a poika, yeah,
meat.
exactly.
A poike is an example of a kedera. When you boil meat, it takes a lot longer for it to get soft enough,
Right.
to be easy to eat, than if you cook it on the barbecue. So that's just kind of a secondary note
Okay.
here.
So they're talking. It's speaking about the reason. One of the kind of the karim of the roasting was that it's fast.
Yep.
And you have to make some stew. It kind of takes a while, like a cholent. It's all night long. It's
Right.
just like whip it up and let's roll.
Right. And back then they didn't have gas stoves. You had the fire you lit and that was it. And the fire you stoked and the fire you kept. And you couldn't really do that for hours if you're in chipazon. I mean, it just isn't possible.
Plus, it's also you don't need as many spices for it to be tasty. When it's roasted. But
That's true.
When you boil it, you really need to spice it up a bit to make it taste good.
Yeah.
You
You can spice the Korban Pesach.
What's that?
You can spice the Korban Pesach.
You can?
Yeah.
Put some salt on it.
All right. I would like another volunteer.
Another one?
Dinah mitzvah?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm happy to volunteer.
All right. Let's hear it.
Not sure well done. דיני המצווה, כגון אם עשהו צלי קדרה או סחו ומשכין או במי פירות או במים או בשמן תרומה מה דינו. ויתר פרטיה מבוארים בפסחים. So, talk about the laws of the mitzvah, the commandment. So, kigon, I don't know, I should know what kigon means. I feel what kigon means.
For example.
For instance, in Masahu, if someone roasted kadera,
Cauldron.
that's a cauldron,
Yes.
polka, or sachu v'mashkin,
Sacho.
sacho. Is mashkin alcohol or just general drinks? Mashke.
Mashke, yeah, is a liquid.
A liquid. Okay, so covered in liquid or something. That's the hot.
Marinate it?
It's not necessarily marinating. It more likely is marinating, but sacho is sach oto, right? Such, lasuch,
I forgot what that means.
lasuch. Such, it means to pour or to anoint.
To a base almost.
It could be,
Makes sense.
well, it's not necessarily in a cooking
Yeah, okay,
context. This verb can be applied in any context.
Like a rotel.
Oh,
It's
this is where
to-
nesucha comes from.
It's where?
Nesucha, the word nesucha.
Yes, true.
Yeah, nesuch.
Also on Yom Kippur and Shabbat we have 5 inuim, right? We have 5 inuim. We have achila u'shtiya. We have achila u'shtiya. Oh, goodness. We have, what's the second one? Somebody want to give me a second one? 5 inuim. Right? 5 things we don't
Yachasei
do.
Yeshut.
Tashmish
Tashmish Mita. I'm looking for the exact language.
Yachasei Yeshut.
You're right, but I'm looking for the exact terms.
Um,
What did Chazal call it? Tashmish Mita.
De'at ha... לא יודע.
No, this is it. She was right. Tashmish Mita.
Oh, okay.
Ne'ilat
Nilata sandal. That's wearing leather-soled shoes. Okay. Anybody else?
Netilat.
What are we trying to figure out here?
What are the 5
Mechitza.
kinds of forbidden activities that we refrain from on Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur?
Oh, Tisha B'Av.
During these
Yeah, I
fast.
think you said Shabbat and Yom Kippur.
Oh.
That's why I was like, wow.
Oh,
No eating during Shabbat.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't know the well it's so
Nachon.
we want it to be the soap,
Rachatzah. And the last one is sicha.
right?
Okay.
Anointing.
Sicha usually translated as anointing.
Right.
It means not putting oil or cream on to soothe your skin. It's all about. All of these are considered to be pleasures, bodily pleasures. Okay. So these are things that you're allowed to do for medical purposes, like if you have a wound or something that needs cleansing, you're allowed to wash it off. If you have problems walking without the support of proper leather shoes, you can. If you're going to die if you don't eat, then you eat. Right?
Right.
All of these have a medical application. So sicha also, if you have like some kind of special medicinal oil that you need to apply, then you put it on. But applying oil on your body is also called sicha. We don't usually cook ourselves.
So that leaves
It's not
one.
Cooking.
So that leaves one you didn't count.
No, this is 5.
No, but you said, like, you know, these all have, like, reasons for exemptions. When does Tashmish Mita have an exemption?
It doesn't.
Exactly. So.
Bad.
Exactly.
Although I have a friend who was once he grew up conservative, and he was kind of in the some kind of a orthodox rabbinical context. His brother became Orthodox, and he was hanging out with him, and there was some local rabbi of some stature that they were with. I don't know the context. And he said, I have a question, Rabbi. If it's a mitzvah to be with your wife on Shabbos, and Yom Kippur is called Shabbat Shabbaton, it's the Shabbos of Shabbases, and why can't you be with your wife on Yom Kippur? It should be a greater mitzvah.
Okay, but it's the same logic of like, but the same logic like on Shabbat you're not supposed to fast. So if it's Shabbat Shabbaton, why are we fasting? It's the same sort of logic.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's obviously missing the point.
Yeah.
But that's just an anecdote about that question.
Right.
So sacho b'mashkin means to anoint, to coat it. It could be marinate. It doesn't necessarily have to sit for any amount of time to be considered sicha.
So it's okay.
So it's basically coating it with something before you stick it in the oven, stick it in the barbecue.
Sometimes you put like oil on when you cook. You
You put oil. Well, that's
on
the question.
Yeah.
That's the question. question.
Because actually, can you say something? Because the next one's is B'mei Perot, which I'm guessing is fruit juice, really. Water, fruit, and B'mayim. So again, these are different types of, for want of a better word, anointing it, or B'shemen.
Right.
So
is this considered roast? Does roasting have to be dry?
Yeah.
If it's coated in a liquid, is that mivushal already? Is that bishul instead of tali? These are just the questions that he's bringing up. He doesn't, again, in mitzvah, Sefer HaChinuch likes to bring up issues and not explain them, just kind of mentioning what the possible issues are around this mitzvah.
Which I feel it's going to do now, isn't it? It's going to talk about what's the law, Ma'adino, V'yeta, Paveteha, and I guess that's etc.
Right,
Things.
all the other details.
And it says Movarim, B'Pesachim, go and look at Pesachim. Yeah. You're right, good questions, move on. ונוהגת בזכרים ונקבות בזמן הבית. So
Yeah, which word are you stuck on?
Nahaget, I know what it is. Nahaget, we talked about it so many times before, so it's annoying me. I keep wanting to say driver. It's annoying me. Which is, I know,
Right.
not what it is. It's, is it minhag? Isn't it minhag, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the
Right.
same.
Yeah,
Customary,
sorry, that's
customary.
that's what I
It's
mean.
acted
Yeah.
out, it's
Yeah.
pertinent, it applies to. We usually translate as applying to.
It applies to men and women. Is man habayit at the time of the house? Or home?
Yeah.
No?
Which house?
Which house?
Beit HaMikdash.
Okay. Well, so when it applies, that you could then, that's saying it only applies at the time of Beit HaMikdash to men and women, which would indicate that it wouldn't apply. Yeah, so, of course, there's no, it doesn't apply to
This is
anyone.
Korban Pesach.
Correct about that. I'm getting there. I was getting there. Okay. והעובר עליה ואכלנה או מבושל לוקה. So, I want to say over is to pass.
Pass over it, over aleha,
Pass over
meaning
it.
transgress.
Okay. I could just it and 8. Na. Isn't na that type of that na is that
Raw.
Undercooked.
Yeah, undercooked, yeah.
Raw, no?
Well, we learned last week that na is undercooked,
Because it's been cooked slightly, hasn't it? It's not cooked.
Right.
It's not cooked
not
enough.
fully cooked.
Yeah.
Seared.
Yeah, something like that.
Or that's not good, blue's good.
Or
Or
it is irregular.
Mubushal. Mubushal is boiled or boiled.
Mm-hmm.
Loke, isn't that? Whipped
What?
The lashes.
lashes.
Lashes. I thought it was like from the name like the kui, like you.
Same word.
That-
Same word. But this is like a technical term here.
Okay.
So loke, we say also likuya levana, when there's an eclipse,
Right.
it's the same word. Loke means something is losing, is something taken away from it. It's at a loss,
Right.
right? So loke means you're at a loss, you're being punished. And specifically, in halachic context, it means the 39 lashes.
Malchut.
Okay.
It could also mean, there's also a concept of malkut rabbanan. That's makinoto ad shomer rotzani, that the Beit Din has the power to rough people up until they agree to do the mitzvah. Also known as,
That's something we're trying to think about planet in the context of get.
yes, that's one of the contexts.
Yeah.
That could be applied. But specifically, it's called malkut mered, meaning that's something that's applied on an individual basis, a coercion in order for a man to give a get, and that's something that's not even applicable, obviously, deoraita, because deoraita, a man doesn't have to give a get, he doesn't want to. It's one-sided. It's unilateral. But the parallel to Malkut Deoraita, which is if you transgress a negative mitzvah, right, a lav, then you're, in certain cases, you're liable to be punished with the 39 lashes. So the parallel, there's a rabbinical parallel to this Malkut, which is called Makat Mered, and it doesn't have a limit. It's not like there are 39, like the Deoraita is a very specific limit on it. It doesn't have a limit. It just, you keep going until the person agrees to stop whatever his behavior is, and it's for transgressing rabbinical prohibitions.
Not deoraita.
Not deoraita.
Okay.
Yeah.
That confuses me. Why is the punishment so severe for the Rabbanan and for deoraita it's just anisha min hashamayim? Like
it's not a question of severity, it's a question of
lashing is pretty severe. I mean, it's painful.
But that's not, no, the point is not that it's more severe. The point is that it's open-ended. That the Torah says, this is what I care about, this is how much I care about this thing. They're different, right? We have different levels of punishment from the Torah. There's Malkut, and then there's Karet, and then there's Mitah b'di Shamayim, there's Mitah b'di Adam. So there's like a scale. Mm-hmm. Whereas the Rabbanan only have this one tool at their disposal of beating. And it's open-ended, as opposed to being articulated.
So my next question is, like, I guess when this applied, I mean, it still applies today, obviously, but like when we had like Beis Din who could do something like this.
You know, Beit Din, what's called Beit Din Makin v'Onshim, Beit Din that has the authority to carry out corporal punishment, that's only smuchim. If you watch the videos we talked about this 2 weeks ago, right? We talked about smuchim, that it's an authority that the Torah gives to the chachamim, but only if it's an unbroken chain. When the chain was broken close to 2,000 years ago. So we don't have anybody with that authority anymore.
How would we renew that?
And there is a way of renewing it. We discussed that also.
Okay. 2 weeks ago. I'll look up to that.
You should watch all the videos.
Absolutely. I've watched a few of them.
Okay.
Yeah, just not all of them. Full admission.
Okay. So, lokeh. So that's a good word to remember. Lokeh, we're going to see another application of it in a moment. V'chen.
So v'chen im achar shneihen kachat lokeh malchut achat. So what's saying, the two of them, which I'm guessing they're both the na or boiled meat,
right,
together, you only get one lot of lashes.
Right, you have a korban pesach, half of it you undercooked, the other half you boiled.
Okay.
Eat them together. Even though you transgress twice, it's the same mitzvah. So you only get one set of lashing. Malkut achat.
And then Ladat HaRambam, Zichron Levracha. So this is from the Rambam.
According to his opinion, they're kind of one mitzvah. Na ומבושל. Rambam.
הרמב"ם, זיכרונו לברכה, מנה אותן שני להבין, וכתב שלוקין עליהן על כל אחד ואחד. So the Ramban, I think you've got to be so the Ramban disagrees with Ramban because these are basically two negative mitzvahs, and that you should get separate mitzvahs, separate negative obligations, sacred commandments, and therefore you get malchut twice, once for each of the breaches which you've committed. Dechevan dachtiv lo tochlu ki im sli esh. So dachtiv is written. Okay, why did he say this? Because it's written lo tochlu, that you will not eat if it's eat.
Ki'im.
Because
we just had this.
Instead of?
Only.
Except
for sli esh, thank you. Except for sli esh, so except for roasting on the fire. Mefaret bana ומבושל למעלי. So
Okay, this is a little bit technical. This is a quote from Midrash Halacha. We have this word mifrat, which is an Aramaic form of the verb prat, lifaret, to detail, and to explicitly.
To describe.
Yeah, but it's about things being broken up to explicit.
To
details.
Explicate? No.
Mifrat bina. What does it say? Mifrat bina umevusal lamali. Right. Once the Torah says ki im tzli esh.
to dissect, maybe.
Dissect. So break it down. But ki im tzli. Right. It's already said ki im tzli esh. It already put it out a generality that this is the only way you're allowed to eat the Korban Pesach. So once you've already said the only way to eat it is on the barbecue, why are you telling me don't eat it this way or this way? You already told me I can only eat it one particular way. Saying don't eat it don't eat it mifushal.
because that's all saying. You were saying that's all saying.
That's all.
Yeah, that's all not eating it.
Draining.
That's all not eating it.
Right. You already said that.
Yeah.
So why is what is this adding? The question is always when the Torah says something additional, what additional point is being made?
Right.
And so the Ramban says, Shma Mina. Shma Mina, this is a very good term. Shma Mina, this is Aramaic, comes from the Gemara. Shma Mina with a mapik. Okay? Learn from it. Shma is lemad mi mena in Aramaic. So learn from it. Shma mina. Learn from what? From this addition.
Because Shema obviously in Hebrew is listen, hear.
Yes.
So is there some connection to it or just coincidence from an Arabic?
That's how you learn, by listening. But in the context of the Gemara, when you see the word, that shorish, in an Aramaic context, it always means to learn. Shma'inan, we learned. Shma'ata is a halacha. Something that you learn. It's called the shma'ata. Not
Tu shma'ata?
Not the Yiddish shma'ata. So this is the shma'ata, and there's a book written by Reb Shimon Shkop, the Shev Shmatata, which by Litvaks is pronounced the Shev Shmaitza. Just general knowledge. It's a very terse halachic word. Not halachic, it's in halacha, whatever. So this is Shma Mina. So Shma Mina is something we see a lot in the Gemara when they're trying to explain a proposition of how to break down, how to understand the psukim or some other halachic source. And then they say, this has to be your conclusion. Shma Mina. Learn from it. Here we have Shma Mina. So this is the Ramban's logic that he says that you have a klal, you have this general statement, ki'im tzali esh, and the only justification for adding on, or the only possible way to understand this additional information, is that it's saying na is one mitzvah, mevushal is another mitzvah.
What mitzvah? Transgression.
A lot, yeah. It's also a kind of mitzvah.
Okay.
Yaakov.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Any questions before we close up the shop?